Row0 is a next-gen spreadsheet built for big data. In this video, we'll show how to connect your spreadsheet to your database or data warehouse and share SQL queries as data sources for non-technical users. To get started, I'll connect to my data. I'm going to connect to Snowflake, write a simple query, hit run. Row0 is 1,000 times more powerful than traditional spreadsheets, so I can pull entire database tables into the spreadsheet and it can handle very large data sets. This is a 7.2 million row data set of every flight in the US for 1 year. Pulls in as a data table, and this maintains the live connection to Snowflake. So as new data comes into Snowflake, it can dynamically update my spreadsheet, and all the pivot tables and charts and formulas I build on top of it will also update and dynamically stay in sync. If I want to, I can explode the table into normal spreadsheet mode. Control down, you can see that I'm on row 7.2 million. So from here, I have a couple options to share this data. So I can share the spreadsheet itself by clicking the share button up here and invite a colleague to this spreadsheet. Or I can double click back on the table, pull up my SQL query, and I can publish this as a data source. So I'll demonstrate that. And I want to create a new data source. Here's the query that I'm going to share. I'll give it a name, flight tracker. Hit continue. Here's the connection, create data source, and it successfully created the data source, and now I'm going to share it. So I'm going to invite a colleague to the data source, hit confirm. This is going to send an invite to them, and it'll also show up as a data source for me. So as the new user, they're going to come in to a new workbook and hit data. In the data sources, they're going to see that data source. They'll click it, hit run query. It's going to run the query for them. They don't need to know SQL. Everything happens behind the scenes, and the data comes in just as it did whenever you ran the SQL query. I don't have to see the SQL, but I can run the query. I can also schedule an update. So let's say I want to schedule it for every morning at 6 a.m. I can do that. And otherwise, all the data is here. So from here, this user can now manipulate this data set, do whatever they want with it, and they're off and running. Next, I'll demonstrate query variables. So it's going to be a similar dynamic. I'm going to go back to my original spreadsheet, and I'm going to manipulate the query here. So I'm going to create a variable. I'm going to call it departing airport, and I'm going to select text as the type, and I'm just going to allow it to be empty as well. Hit create, and I need to assign this variable to a column in my workbook. So do that real quick. So where origin equals departing airport, and then I'm also going to say or departing airport is blank, and this is going to allow me to set the query variable, and then the user on the other side will be able to manipulate the variable as a filter on the data. So let me hit run. And from here, everything's the same. So it's going to pull the data into my workbook, and I can publish this as a data source. Create new source. Here's my query that I'm going to share. And let's call this flight tracker with filter. This flights. Continue. And create the data source. I'm going to share this. My colleague. Confirm. They get the invite. And then they're going to come into a new workbook and hit data. Here's flight tracker with filter. They're going to put in their departing airport. So let's say SFO, run the query. So this is going to pull in the flights data set, but filter to only departing airports that are from SFO. Let's say I want to change this to LAX. I can easily do that. Hit run query. You can see with SFO, I have 175,000 instances of that. Hit run query with LAX, and the data is going to pull back in with just flights coming out of LAX. You can see now there's 221,000. At any time, I can schedule this as a recurring update, or I can just hit run query to run it again. So you can see, very easy to query your database, bring in dynamic data directly into your spreadsheet. You can publish that as a data source for non-technical users, and you can even set a query variable so that they can do some basic filtering either on categories or dates or numbers or things like that in order to manipulate the data and be off and running. You can try Row Zero for free at rowzero.io, and ZY Row Zero is the best spreadsheet for big data.